All right, good morning. Kevin O'Keefe with In the Flow podcast. So I don't really have a name. I don't know what kind of name to go with. I just kind of threw that in there I think it was just yesterday. Throw with the flow. All of that is just based on um, living a life where you're just. Oh, if you want to get the comments on there,
Sure.
if you're going to leave.
Yeah.
All right. Um, you get one life here on Earth, and what's really helped me, my personality and my mannerisms, have been to be very fluid. I find that if you're fluid, then life is not so abrasive, and you meet a lot of people out there that are just they're very rigid. They've got their systems, they've got their mindsets, and a lot of it is simply just personality type. And there's really no way of knowing how those things develop. What makes someone an introvert, what makes them an extrovert, what makes them a thinker, what makes them a feeler, what makes them, very rigid versus fluid. I think that that's like in the Myers-Briggs, that's the perceiver and the judger. And I know it's much more complex than just these basic arbitrary terms, but to be fluid with life is you can't control what comes your way. And so it's best to just take it as it comes. We don't know what each day holds. And so to throw with the flow in the studio here, man, I don't know how to, like we were talking about yesterday, I don't know how to run a business. I don't know how to be an entrepreneur. I can learn, but then I'm just a business entrepreneur. I'm not an artist, or my art takes a hit because now all of a sudden I'm having to wear these other hats because, artists, I want to say, they don't have the ability to go out and get a big loan. We don't have any assets other than ourselves. So there's no bank going to put their money on an artist. And so for me, I just think that if you want to do something, then you just have to go for it, and you have to just start applying and approaching yourself toward that thing, and know that no matter how difficult it is, no matter what the struggle is, that your journey to becoming is what you want. And you don't put all your hopes on completing that thing, because you may never actually get there. And so it's that pursuit. It's the pursuit of happiness that is really makes life worth living, right? And you want to ask yourself, if you want something in life, if you want to have something, then you just say, well, what would I do if I had that thing, right? Because most people are pursuing money, or at least you think they're pursuing money, but it's like, well, what would you have if you had money? People that are working a job, and they're saving and they're saving and they're saving for retirement, or they're putting their money away for the future. And it's like, well, what is the goal to your life, right? What is the goal of your life? And if you're doing what you love, if you're working the job that you love, or you're laboring and you're building value where you want to build, then what is the end goal to what you're doing? Because if you have what you need, then yeah, I guess you could just save your value, or just put your value aside if you've got all that you need. But really putting it, mm, I don't know. I can't tell you what to do with your value. Um, because I think the idea behind this is that, or where I was going toward is today, um, if you're going to build something, build the foundation first. Don't worry about the end goal. Don't worry about the journey ahead, but start building your foundation. And the foundation is internal. It's who you are, your own character, right? And it's this continual build, but authenticity is probably one of the greatest things that you can invest in. And if I were to define it, I would say that authenticity is the ability to live by your internal truth or your internal beliefs, and to stand on those, right? As a principle, to say, this is who I am and this is what I believe, and I'm going to live by this, by your own set of guidelines. And again, you can make those as fluid or as rigid as you want. And hopefully you don't have the personality type that just makes everything very rigid. Because once you start having a foundation of rigidity, then it becomes very difficult to build with people, because people are not rigid. Everybody's different, you know? And so the most successful companies, they build in a manner where they either have a position for everyone. They have a position for someone that is always late and never attentive, but then they also have a position for the person that is extremely rigid and analytical and in the books and by the books. And so if you can have a company that's big enough to fill all those shoes, then maybe that's good. But you as a person, if you can find what you believe, find who you are, and to know yourself, and to start there, start building that foundation, then it becomes so much easier to build anything. You can build anything from that point. And, as an antidote, when these skyscrapers build, like these big, tall buildings and skyscrapers, if you ever notice, they spend years, and I guess I just made that up off the top of my head, but they spend a lot more time developing the foundation. You see them come on the site and there's nothing there, and they just got, a few pieces of equipment, driving pylons, but they will sit there and build down just like a tree. They got to go all the way down and find that bedrock. And once they find that bedrock, the foundation is set, and all of a sudden that skyscraper just goes straight up. And it seems like they're done with it in no time. And so you can't build up until you build down. You need to focus on your foundation because the more stable your foundation is, the more ability you have to build up. And so and that's kind of what I'm doing. That's the premise that I'm working here in my business is for the last, I'd say the last 2 years, and I'd say even more if you count before I was even posting videos on social media. But I believed authenticity to be so important coming to the value of content, because you could make any content. I could make videos, I could remove myself. They could be very mechanical and be ASMR or show the process or highly edited. I could cut out all the mistakes, and it would just look like I was, a perfect speaker. And I could add every lighting and filter. You could do all of that. But the amount of energy it takes to remove the mistakes and to remove the character and the personality, it's like building the top of that building without the foundation. All of a sudden, you're going to hit 2 to 3 stories up and you're going to run out of time. You're going to run out of energy. You can't sustain that type of building. But if you build the foundation and you spend however much time it takes to remove the fear from yourself for the need to put on a filter, to put on the makeup, to put on the mask, to brush your hair, to work on your words, whatever it is, then you can just get out of bed and start acting and start moving and start doing. At any time you're prepared, the foundation is set, then you just build. And so for me, I spent a long time working on building the foundation, working on the fear that was within me to turn on a camera and start talking. I have no idea what I'm going to say. I had a small inclination because I was thinking on this while I was having coffee for breakfast. But I was just thinking that my business, this whole business, hinges on the authenticity first, being real first, being honest first. And I had to do this because the very message of my artwork demands it. And so it was like my art's message that I wanted to promote, I had to live it before I could even share it. I had to actually be the artwork. I had to accept the fact that I had flaws, that I wasn't perfect, that I have trauma. I've got issues. Anger is my go-to emotion, frustration. And to not understand that and to not have control over that at any point, but knowing that I'm in a journey of understanding that and controlling that and becoming better. And guess what? Every day I do. And every day I try something new, And then all of a sudden you go, oh, well, now I'm in control. Now I control this part of me that I don't like. Now I can be more authentic. Now I can go make the video. Well, guess what? That day never comes. There's always something to work on. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. And I know that when you just, you look at famous people, popular people, politicians, actors. Well, guess what? They all got so many problems, and they got some of the worst problems. They're dealing with drug addiction and suicide and identity crises. And then I'm going, they're just people too, but they're really good at what they do. And the world tends to look past that. You know, I sit here and I go, how can people idolize this person that is just really seems like they got the hardest, like they're just really not doing life well. And it's like, well, they're really good at what they do. And so the world's like, it's okay. We're okay with that. And that's when I realized, like, you know what? We all have problems. We all have problems. We all are not perfect. My artwork's not perfect. But guess what? If you just start and work on being who you are and being good at what you want to be good at and just build, everything else will happen. Because if you decide you don't want to start until you're perfect or until you've got it down, you'll never start because you can't perfect everything. And so my artwork demanded it. And then for me to even say it, I had to own it in my own life. And I had to just show up. And I tell you, if you go from this video back, you're going to see some really ugly videos. I mean, videos where I'm just sitting here. I can't think of anything to say. I'm so wrapped up in fear. And you know what? I'm still not there yet. Because if people started showing up, like there's nobody, you know, there's nobody even here that I know of. But if I were to know, if I knew someone was here, that would change everything. And if all of a sudden a lot of people started showing up at my live stream, you know, if all of a sudden you're on if you're sitting there on your video talking, and 100,000 people showed up, could you even handle it? You know, a lot of people, they want that algorithm to boost them. They want all this upward lift. They want that building to go up. But guess what? Could you even handle that? Do you have the foundation? I think the algorithm actually is helping people by not promoting channels in their infancy, just like this one. Like they're helping me by not promoting me because it gives me the opportunity to work on my foundation and to sit here and just spill my heart out and reveal who I am, put my cards on the table and be like, this is me. This is me raw and unedited. And I'm going to build from here because now once I do this, you know, I can hire an editor. I can hire a cameraman. I could hire a lighting assistant and a microphone assistant. You see what I'm saying? I spent years trying to work on all of these different things. And that building, it just wasn't going up. I could not build because I was building on. Encourage anyone out there that comes across this video, if you are trying to build your channel, your business, your relationships, whatever it is, if you're afraid, if you're not being honest with who you are, or if you know, here's a big one. Do you want to be known? Right? I look at the internet and the social media stuff, and you know what I see a lot of? Extroverts. I see a whole lot of extroverts. And they all want to be comedians. They all want to tell jokes and be funny. Everyone wants to make the joke. And it's like, when do we get something real, right? Like, now there's a lot of truth in humor, and I get that, and I think that comedy and laughter is a thing that we need, but we need more people. We need more introverts. We need more thinkers on the internet. We need people to be able to come on and just say, yeah, I don't know how to make this funny. I don't know how to make this edited. I don't know how to get the lighting right, but this is my truth. This is my foundation. This is my art. This is what it means to me. This is what I love, what I don't love. You know, I don't think the internet can be reserved to the entertaining and, you know, the editors. You know, we have enough videos on how to edit videos. We have enough channels on how to make channels. What we need is those people that know how to do lighting and know how to make channels and know how to edit, to go out into the world and find people, you know, find introverts and you know, edit something else. I don't want to tell you what to do, you know. If you know how to make it work, make it work. But this video, this today, I just wanted to share a little piece of my business, a big piece of my business, which is I am so glad that I have found the freedom to let go of this light behind me that's burnt out. I mean, you know, it's been a couple of weeks now, and I still haven't gone to the store to buy new bulbs. And yes, every day I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know, the shadow. And as a matter of fact, like, I don't even like any of my lighting. I don't like any of my lighting. Like, if I had the money, like, I could hire a professional, you know, lighting tech to come in and create a lighting environment where the entire room just glows right. But, you know, money, time and money. I can't let that stop me. You can't let perfectionism stop you. You have to focus on the foundation, be yourself, say what you have to say. And if you say it enough, you'll start bringing people in, people that want to support and they want to help, and they identify and they go, this is someone that's speaking for me and I want to support them. And if you go do that, then it'll happen. All right, that's enough for my ramble. Be encouraged. For our studio, for a studio update, right now we are still trying to get back into the flower bowls. It was something that I had developed. I designed these flower bowls, and I had worked really hard to just dive into them and create them. And I don't even know how they came out so well, that first batch that I'd given to my family reunion. And maybe I should go make a video of those. But I'm trying to get back into making flower bowls, and I wanted to change the size. Well, that upgrade has been just a whole new learning process, because to scale clay is it's quite difficult, because the heavier clay gets, it's still weak and malleable, so you have to change the slightest thickness. You got to keep that curve, and you try to lay these things out, and the whole thing just keeps collapsing. So last week we threw 8 bowls, and we have 2 out of the 8 that survived the throwing. And yesterday we threw 7 bowls, and 2 survived yesterday. And so right now we're at a point of learning, loss, and hurt. It's always hard to put in work. But this is what's called R&D. So right now my studio is in an R&D phase, where we're just taking on a lot of loss we're always in an R&D phase. If you're an artist, you're always doing research and development, and that's why art is so expensive, right? Like the process of thinking is probably one of the most expensive parts of the process, which is called labor. Because even if your hand has to reach in and grab something like in an assembly line, that human has latency. And so that's why right now they're doing everything they can to replace humans with robots, because robots have very little latency, very little error, and they never get exhausted. And so artists are the complete opposite of machine labor, because we think and overthink about everything. And so right now in our studio, we're in research and development. We're learning how to recreate these flower bowls into larger bowls. These are the ones that we have so far. If you have not seen it, here's one of the first ones. And granted, this is still one of the smaller first ones, but here is one of the new sizes. So this will shrink down, but I think this will give a lot more weight. And I've also remade the foot to be wider so that it has more surface area, so that the flowers can, have a sturdier bowl. But these are our iris flower bowls. So this is what we're working on right now. And today it looks like we're going to be back into throwing more of those and maybe trimming the ones that we had thrown yesterday. So we're also working on more posts. We have to make, I still don't have any business cards, and everyone keeps telling me to make business cards. I don't understand business cards. For where I'm at, I go, social media is where everybody is. It's where the world is. And so I feel like just some sort of digital, post, like posts today are business cards. With one post, you can reach, however many people, where to take the time to make a business card and to go hand it to one person, I don't understand that, but everyone keeps telling me I need business cards. I do believe that one thing that I need is packaging material. I don't have any packaging material for my products when they sell. I've just been doing really thoughtful handwritten notes to each purchase, which we're very gracious of. But yeah, I don't know if anybody has insight on that. Like, if you were to receive a piece of pottery, what would you be satisfied with for marketing material? Would a business card work? Would you want like an authenticity card? I have developed those in the past that I haven't been using. But like a card of authenticity where it has an image of the piece you bought, contact information, a care card, I don't know. So if anyone has insight, if anybody wants to help me, we're just learning as we go. All right. Well, I think we're going to shut it down from here and get some breakfast. I'm getting hungry. And then maybe we'll come back in and get some work done, work on some posts, and go from there. Thank y'all so much, anyone that comes across this. My name is Kevin, and this podcast is kind of just built for my business insights, what I've learned, what I'm learning, and where we're at. I really would love to have people come here and make meaningful comments about if you understand business, if you understand finances, if you understand if you have an opinion on art and want to share, I will take any advice as we're developing and growing here. So, all right, Leela's not in yet in here, so I'm gonna shut this stream down, and we'll see y'all later. Take care.